Ben the Tutor, and today I want to talk about completing the square. Okay, this is about quadratics, and the first question is, why on earth would I want to do this thing called completing the square? And the answer is, if I look at this equation here, I see that it's a quadratic. It's got an x squared, and that's something. And a quadratic is an equation with the x squared, and it looks like a parabola when I graph it. But in the form that it's in right now, it's really hard to graph. We know that other kind of form, something that looks like y equals x minus 1 squared plus 1. Something like that is easy to graph, because we know the vertex. We call this the vertex form. And negative 1 means it moves to the right, and plus 1 means it moves up. That's what the vertex is. So, completing the square is a method that takes this form and changes it into the vertex form. This kind of standard form here. Okay, so how do I do it? Well, I'm glad you asked. So the first thing to do is to write brackets around x squared plus 8x. And the second thing to do is the hardest step. I need to pick a number, and that number is going to be put in this spot here inside, a plus sign. What I'm trying to do is make a trinomial that I can factor. It's like foiling but backwards. We did this last year. And I need to pick a special number, and the number is this middle number divided by 2 squared. So it's 8 divided by 2 squared. So that's 4 squared, and that's 16. So the 16 is the magic number I add there. I'll tell you why in a second. But first, if I add 16, I also need to subtract 16. Now, the reason I choose 16 is because this is now very easy to factor x squared plus 8x plus 16. It's both x squared and 16 are, we call it perfect squares. There's 2 squared things here. And what I need is x plus 4 times x plus 4. And this is always going to work with completing the square. If you want to check for yourself, you can pause the video and FOIL that, and you'll see that it's x squared plus 8x plus 16. And 17 plus 16 is plus 1. And that's x plus 4 squared plus 1. And that is the form. It's now being transformed into the vertex form, which is really nice. And now we can use this and we can graph it. Okay, I'm going to do a second example for you. And this one's slightly harder because this one has a 2 in front of the x squared. Our last example, there was no coefficient, no number in front of the x squared. So we need to do something about that. So the first step here is to factor out 2. And we factor it out from the x squared and the x, but we leave the number, the 20, out. So 2x squared minus 6x plus 20. Okay, so now we need to do the same magic choosing of a number. And I'll say the rule again, minus 6x. So we go plus, and we go 6 divided by 2 squared. That's 3 squared. Which is 9. So I choose negative 6x, I go plus 9 there. And I have to get, so I added a 9, and notice there's a 2 out here, so I have to subtract what I added, 9, but not 9, it's 9 times 2, so I need to go subtract 18. So here we go, 2. Now I have x squared minus 6x plus 9. This is x minus 3 times x minus 3. Again, if you want to check my math, you can check. I get the negative sign because 6 is negative. And I get plus 20 minus 18, so it's plus 2. So I get 2x minus 3 squared plus 2. And this again is in the vertex form. And from here it'll be much easier to graph. So that's how you complete the square.